You've been talking to women your whole life, but what if I told you that just 2 words can completely change how they feel about you, and almost no man is using them correctly? You've probably heard countless advice about attraction, but what if everything you've been told is missing the point? What if the real trigger that makes a woman think about you long after you've left has nothing to do with your looks, your money, or any rehearsed lines? Because the truth is, attraction often begins in a place most men never even try to reach, the emotional core. And today you're about to discover something deceptively simple that can completely change the way you communicate and, more importantly, the way you're remembered. For years, patterns have been observed in how men and women interact, and one thing stands out clearly. The men who leave a lasting impression are not always the most physically attractive or the most financially successful. Instead, they are the ones who understand how to communicate directly on an emotional level. While most men stay stuck in safe, surface-level conversations trying to impress, trying not to say the wrong thing, these men do something different. They communicate with intention. Now here's where it gets interesting. The human brain is wired to respond to certain patterns in communication. Some phrases create distance while others build connection instantly. And among all the techniques and strategies out there, there are 2 simple words that act like a key. Not a loud or flashy key, but one that quietly unlocks attention, curiosity, and emotional engagement. Most men completely overlook this. They assume attraction is about saying more, doing more, or trying harder. But in reality, it's often about saying the right thing at the right moment with clarity and confidence. When you understand this, conversations stop feeling like a performance. They start feeling natural, grounded, and impactful. And here's the detail that separates men who are quickly forgotten from those who stay in a woman's mind. It's not just what you say, but how you position yourself when you say it. Are you asking for approval, or are you expressing intent? Are you hesitating, or are you grounded in what you want? That subtle difference changes everything. So stay with me, because in the next part we're going to break down the first word, one that instantly shifts how you're perceived and positions you in a completely different light. And if you're ready to level up the way you communicate and attract, make sure you subscribe now and hit like, because what comes next might be the shift you've been missing. Now let's move deeper into the first word, the one that quietly transforms how you are perceived the moment it leaves your mouth. The word is simple, almost too simple, which is exactly why most men underestimate its power. That word is I want. And before you dismiss it as obvious or basic, you need to understand what actually happens when you say it with clarity and confidence. When a man says I want, he is doing something most men avoid. He is taking full responsibility for his desires. He is not hiding behind uncertainty, not softening his words to avoid rejection, and not placing the decision on someone else. He is stepping forward and expressing intent. And that alone sends a powerful signal. It communicates direction, certainty, and emotional stability. Think about how most conversations go. A man might say something like, I don't know, maybe we could hang out sometime if you're free. On the surface, it sounds polite, but underneath, it carries hesitation. It suggests fear of rejection and a lack of confidence in leading the interaction. Now compare that with, I want to take you out this weekend. I know a place you'll enjoy. The difference is immediate and undeniable. One feels uncertain, the other feels grounded and intentional. And here's something important about female psychology. Women are naturally drawn to men who demonstrate clarity in what they want. Not because they want to be controlled, but because it signals that the man can lead experiences. It shows that he is capable of making decisions without needing constant reassurance. This creates a sense of ease, where she doesn't feel the pressure to carry the interaction forward. But understand this clearly. Saying I want is not about being aggressive or dominant. It's about being assertive in a calm and controlled way. It's about having the confidence to take up space without forcing it. When you express desire directly, you create a polarity that naturally draws attention. This is where many men begin to shift. They realize that attraction is not about impressing, it's about expressing. And once you start doing that, conversations begin to feel different. They gain direction and purpose. In the next part, we'll uncover the second word that balances everything out and turns simple attraction into deep emotional connection. If you're starting to see the difference already, make sure you like this video and stay with me, because this next piece is where everything truly comes together. Now here's where everything starts to come together, because the first word creates attraction, but the second word builds connection. Without it, everything you say can feel one-sided, almost as if you are only focused on what you want. And that's exactly why the second word changes everything. That word is I appreciate. On its own, I want shows confidence and direction, but when you combine it with I appreciate, you create balance. You show that you are not just a man of intention, but also a man of awareness. You are not just expressing desire, you are recognizing value. And this is where emotional depth begins to form. Think about it in a real conversation. If you say, I want to see you again, it already sounds confident. But when you say, I want to see you again because I really appreciate the way you think, something shifts instantly. You're no longer just stating your desire. You are showing that you notice something meaningful about her. You are communicating that she is not interchangeable, and that detail is powerful, because most men stop at surface-level compliments. They focus on appearance, on obvious traits, on things she has heard 100 times before. But when you express appreciation for something deeper, her mindset, her perspective, her energy, you separate yourself without trying too hard. You become memorable in a way that feels natural and authentic. Here's why this works so effectively. When a woman feels appreciated for who she is, not just how she looks, it creates emotional resonance. It tells her that you are paying attention, that you are present in the interaction. And more importantly, it signals that you are choosing her for specific reasons, not just reacting to her presence. There is also a subtle but important distinction here. Appreciation is not neediness. When you appreciate someone genuinely, you are not placing them above you or seeking validation. You are simply acknowledging value while still standing firm in your own position. That balance is what makes it so attractive. When I want and I appreciate come together, they form a complete message. Desire combined with recognition, confidence combined with emotional intelligence. And that combination is rare. In the next part, we're going to talk about the biggest mistake men make when using these words. The one thing that can completely destroy their impact. If you're starting to understand this shift, make sure you like and subscribe, because what you learn next will determine whether this works or fails. Now here's the part most men completely miss. And it's the reason why even the right words can fail if they are not backed by the right presence. Because saying I want and I appreciate is powerful, but only if they are delivered with something called congruence. And if you don't understand this, everything falls apart the moment you speak. Congruence simply means alignment. It means your words, your tone, and your body language are all telling the same story. If even one of those elements is off, the message weakens instantly. And here's the truth. People don't just listen to what you say, they feel how you say it, especially women who are extremely sensitive to emotional inconsistencies. Imagine this. You say, I want to take you out, but your shoulders are slouched, your voice is unsure, and your eyes keep drifting away. What happens? The words say confidence, but your body says doubt. That mismatch creates confusion, and instead of attraction, it triggers hesitation. It feels inauthentic, even if your intention was genuine. Now picture the opposite. You stand upright, relaxed but grounded. You hold eye contact naturally, not forced, not intense. Your voice is steady, not rushed, not shaky. Then you say, I want to take you out. The exact same words now carry completely different energy. They feel real. They feel certain. And that certainty is what people respond to. The same applies when you say, I appreciate. This is not something you rush through like a casual statement. You slow down slightly. You allow a small pause. You let the sincerity come through your tone, because appreciation is felt, not just heard. If you rush it, it sounds rehearsed. If you feel it, it becomes memorable. This is why some men say the right things but still don't get results. It's not the words that are failing. It's the delivery. Your body language acts like a silent amplifier, either strengthening your message or completely canceling it out. And once you understand this, you start to realize that attraction is not just verbal. It's energetic. It's about how your presence supports your words. In the next part, we're going to talk about timing, when to use these words so they land with maximum impact. If you've ever felt like you said the right thing but it didn't work, stay with me and don't forget to like and subscribe, because the next insight will change how you use this in real life. Now that you understand the words and the importance of congruence, there's one final layer that determines whether this works effortlessly or falls flat, and that is timing. Because even the most powerful words lose their impact if they are used at the wrong moment or in the wrong way. A common mistake many men make is trying to force these phrases into every interaction, almost like a script they need to follow. They repeat "I want" and "I appreciate" mechanically, thinking repetition will increase their effect. But the opposite happens. It starts to feel unnatural, predictable, and even uncomfortable. And when that happens, the emotional connection disappears. You have to understand that these words are not meant to be used constantly. They are meant to be used strategically in moments that actually carry emotional weight. Think of them as anchors, specific points in a conversation where you want to leave a lasting impression. For example, one of the most powerful moments to use them is at the end of a meaningful interaction. Maybe you've just spent time together, had a genuine conversation, shared a few laughs. There's already a connection forming. That's when you look at her and say, "I want to see you again. I really appreciate the energy you bring." Simple, direct, and impactful. What happens in that moment is subtle but powerful. You are closing the interaction with clarity and emotional recognition. You're not leaving things vague or uncertain. You're giving the experience a clear direction while also validating what made it meaningful. And that creates a memory. Another important moment is when you notice something specific about her that stands out. Not something obvious, not something surface level, but something that reflects who she is. That's when "I appreciate" becomes incredibly effective. It shows presence, it shows attention, and most importantly, it shows that you are not just reacting, you are observing. Timing also means knowing when not to say anything at all. Sometimes the space between words carries just as much weight as the words themselves. When you allow moments to breathe, your statements feel more intentional when they do come. Once you start applying this, conversations begin to shift naturally. They feel less forced and more real. You're no longer trying to impress, you're creating experiences. In the final part, we're going to bring everything together into one simple framework you can use immediately. If this is starting to click for you, make sure you like and subscribe because the last piece will tie everything into a complete system. Now let's bring everything together. Because by this point, you're not just learning words, you're understanding a complete shift in how attraction actually works. It's no longer about trying to impress, perform, or chase validation. It's about communicating with clarity, presence, and emotional awareness. And when you combine all of these elements, something powerful happens. At the core of this entire approach are two simple expressions, "I want" and "I appreciate." But as you've seen, their power doesn't come from the words alone. It comes from how you use them, when you use them, and the energy behind them. "I want" establishes direction. It shows that you are grounded in your intentions, that you are not waiting for permission to express what you feel. It positions you as someone who can lead an interaction naturally. "I appreciate," on the other hand, adds depth. It shows that you are not just focused on your own desires, but that you are capable of recognizing and valuing the other person. It transforms a simple statement into something meaningful. It tells her that you see her beyond the surface, and that is where real emotional connection begins. But none of this works without congruence. Your body language, your tone, your presence, they all need to align with your words. If your energy doesn't match what you're saying, the message loses its impact. And finally, timing ensures that everything lands exactly when it should, creating moments that feel natural rather than forced. When all of this comes together, you stop being just another conversation. You become an experience, someone who is remembered, not because you tried harder, but because you communicated differently. And that difference is what creates lasting attraction. So the next time you're in a conversation, don't overthink it. Don't search for complicated lines. Focus on being clear about what you want and genuine in what you appreciate. That combination alone will separate you from the majority. And here's the truth. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to express it more directly, more honestly, and more confidently. That's where real growth happens. If you made it this far, it means you're serious about improving the way you connect and communicate. So go ahead, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and start applying this today, because the results only come when you take action.